Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at something you probably see every day but might not think about until it's too late. We're talking about your windshield, specifically if you're driving around Portland, Oregon. We've gone through the Oregon Revised Statutes, a bunch of auto industry standards, and local risk reports. And our mission today is pretty simple. It's to help you avoid a fine, sidestep a really costly replacement, and, most importantly, keep you safe. We're going to clarify what kind of windshield damage is actually illegal, what the risks are if you ignore that tiny chip, and why fixing a modern car is so much more than just swapping glass.
It really is. And if you commute anywhere in the metro area, you'll want to listen closely. You might think a little chip is just, an annoyance. But in Portland, that small thing can become a huge legal and safety problem fast. With our roads and the crazy temperature swings, you have almost no time before that chip demands a really expensive fix. So we're going to lay out the legal tripwires and the critical difference between a quick fix and a proper safety cure.
Okay, let's unpack that, starting with the law itself. ORS 815.220. Because the language is surprisingly specific about your vision.
It is. The key phrase, the thing this whole statute hinges on, is that your windshield must be free of cracks or discoloration that obstruct the driver's clear view of the road.
Obstruct the driver's clear view. That's the heart of it then.
That's everything. It immediately tells you that not all damage is the same. I mean, a crack on the passenger side, way down by the hood. Annoying, but probably legal.
Yeah.
But a tiny pea-sized chip right in front of your face, that's a violation.
So how is that critical sight line actually defined? It sounds a bit subjective.
You'd think so, but law enforcement has a pretty clear zone they look for. Just picture a box. It's the area directly in front of the steering wheel, and it extends up and out. That's your primary field of vision. The second a crack, a bullseye chip, or, a star break lands in that specific path, that's what gets you a ticket, even a tiny star-shaped fracture that you'd think you can ignore.
And the law goes beyond just damage, doesn't it? It covers objects and materials, too.
Oh, absolutely. It's very comprehensive. It explicitly prohibits driving with any object or material, placed, displayed, installed, whatever, if it reduces your clear view.
So we're talking about filleted ice,
Yeah.
a poorly placed phone holder, or even stickers creeping up from the dashboard.
Exactly. Or even just, severe discoloration from sun damage or maybe some old peeling film. The focus is simple. If it gets in the way of you seeing the road, it's illegal.
That's a good transition to tinting. I know a lot of people have it. What are the rules for the front windshield?
Oregon law is very strict there. Tint is prohibited on the front windshield, period. The only exception is a narrow strip along the very top edge, usually above what's called the AS1 line.
Which is marked on the glass itself.
Right. So if you have film that comes down into that main sight line, or if you have old tint that's bubbling or peeling, you're risking a citation. And if that bubbling tint is also covering a crack, well, you've just given the officer 2 violations to write up.
Okay, let's get more specific on the damage itself. What are Portland police actually looking for when they decide a crack is a violation?
Well, first, size is a big one. There isn't a single universal number, but a good rule of thumb is any crack longer than a dollar bill. Or, anything over 3 or 4 inches, especially if you can see it spreading, that's an immediate red flag.
But it's not just about the length.
Not at all. Officers are trained to spot the types of damage that really mess with your vision. So they're looking for those spiderweb cracks, the bullseye chips, and the combination breaks. And then another thing the sources bring up is glare. If a chip or crack distorts light, especially during sunrise or sunset, think driving east on the Morrison Bridge in the morning, that's a serious safety hazard, and that alone can be grounds for a stop.
So all of this, it's really about safety, not just looks.
Precisely. And this is where it connects to the actual structure of your car. Oregon law demands safety glass that meets federal standards. That's non-negotiable. But here's the fascinating part. That glass isn't just a window. In most modern cars, the windshield provides up to 45% of the vehicle's structural integrity in a rollover.
45%.
Right.
Wow. So almost half the roof support is coming from the glass. That changes everything.
It absolutely does. A damaged windshield can't handle the forces of a crash. The roof could crush, the glass could pop out. So driving with a cracked windshield isn't just a compliance issue, it's a massive safety risk. Every decision has to be seen through that lens.
And that leads us right into the financial side of things. Let's talk about the cost of ignoring all this.
The first hit is the ticket, of course. A citation for an obstructed view will usually run you between, say, $115 to $265. That's money just gone. But now compare that to the cost of a simple repair.
Right, because a chip repair, if you catch it early, is what, 50 to 150 bucks? It's almost always cheaper than the minimum fine.
And here's the most important financial tip for you to remember. This is the big one. Many comprehensive auto insurance policies will cover a small chip repair with a zero deductible.
Zero. So if you have coverage, you might pay absolutely nothing to get a chip fixed.
That's the incentive. The insurance companies would much rather pay $75 for a repair today than $700 for a replacement down the road. So they waive the deductible. It saves them money. If you see a chip, call your insurer right away. There is a huge, cost-free reason to fix it.
But a full replacement is totally different, and that's the trap.
It's a big trap. Oregon is not a zero-deductible state for a full replacement. So if you let that little chip spread and now you need new glass, you're on the hook for your comprehensive deductible. Let's just use round numbers. Your deductible is $500. The replacement costs $400.
You pay the whole 400.
You pay the entire bill. The insurance company pays nothing because you haven't met your deductible.
So you go from paying nothing for a repair to paying hundreds for a replacement just because you waited.
That's the ticking clock. The financial logic is crystal clear. Fix it early or you risk paying the whole bill yourself. And that bill can be anywhere from $200 to $1,500 or more for a newer car with a lot of sensors.
Which brings us to modern vehicle technology. This really changes the game for replacements. If a repair is maybe 45 minutes, how long does a full replacement take?
Well, the installation itself is pretty quick, maybe 60 to 90 minutes, but that's not the important number. The critical part is what happens after the glass is in. You need an additional, and I mean non-negotiable, 1 to 3 hours of safe drive-away time.
1 to 3 hours. Why is that wait so important? Can you really not just drive off?
It's extremely dangerous. We have to go back to that 45% structural integrity number. The new windshield is held in by a very powerful urethane adhesive. If that urethane hasn't cured, it hasn't reached the strength it needs to handle the force of a sudden stop or, and this is critical, the passenger side airbag deploying.
I see. The airbag actually hits the windshield.
With incredible force. If the adhesive isn't cured, that force can literally pop the new windshield right out of the frame, which means the airbag doesn't work right, or worse, the passenger could be ejected. Rushing that cure time directly compromises your car's most basic safety systems.
And here's where it gets really interesting for anyone with a car from the last few years. We need to talk about ADAS Advanced Driver Assistance Systems.
Yes, ADAS is the umbrella term for all those modern safety features. Lane keep assist, forward collision warning, adaptive cruise control, all of them. And on most new cars, the cameras and sensors for those systems are mounted directly onto the windshield right behind the glass.
So when you replace the glass, you're physically moving the brain of the safety system.
You are. And even a tiny change, 1/10 of a millimeter, means that camera is now misaligned. It's looking in the wrong place. That means it might miscalculate distance or trajectory, your lane keep assist might not see the lane markers, or your collision system might see a shadow as a car.
And the only fix for that is calibration.
Correct. After any replacement, the vehicle has to go through an electronic recalibration. It's a process with special tools, sometimes a road test, to make sure the cameras are aimed perfectly. It adds another 30 to 90 minutes, and it is absolutely mandatory. If you skip ADS calibration, you're driving a car with disabled or faulty safety features.
Okay, let's tie this all back to you, the driver here in Portland. What is it about our region that makes all of this so urgent?
It really boils down to one thing: our temperature swings. Portland isn't known for crazy extremes, but it's known for rapid shifts. A typical day, it's 35 degrees and raining when you leave for work, but then the sun comes out, and by the afternoon, the inside of your car is 60 or 70 degrees.
So you're heating and cooling the glass unevenly.
Constantly. A windshield is laminated, 2 layers of glass with vinyl between them. When the temperature changes quickly, those layers expand and contract at different rates. A little bit of moisture gets in a chip, and that stress just forces it to crack. It acts like a tiny wedge.
So that small chip you got from a gravel truck on I-84 on a Monday
Is under constant attack from the weather cycle. We heard this again and again. A repairable chip on a Monday is very often a full-blown crack requiring a replacement by Friday. The time you might have in a drier climate, you just don't have it here. And using your defroster on a cold morning just speeds the whole process up.
The environment is literally working against you.
It is. And again, think about that structural piece. We have our share of rainy season accidents. A damaged windshield can't do its job of keeping the roof from collapsing or keeping passengers inside the car. Fixing that small chip is the cheapest, easiest way to maintain your vehicle's safety cell.
Okay, so after all this, the law, the cost, the tech, what are the key takeaways for you driving home tonight? First, prioritize repair over replacement. Remember, that little chip is probably a zero-deductible fix with your insurance, which is cheaper than the ticket. Second, know what the sight line is. If the damage is right in front of you, you have to deal with it. And third, for modern cars, the cure time and the ADS calibration. They are not optional. They are essential for your safety.
And that brings us to a final question for you to think about. We've established that a windshield isn't just a piece of glass anymore. It's a critical mounting point for some of your car's most complex safety sensors.
Right. So given that, how much weight should you put on certified expertise, specifically in ADS calibration, versus just finding the lowest price for the glass? That choice could be the difference between your car's safety features working perfectly or not at all.
Indeed. Fix the chip fast, keep your sight line clear, and make sure your tech is aligned.
That's been the Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.